She's everything you'll never be. My mom laughed. Years later, she begged for my help. An hour later, I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard. My mother sat across from me, arms crossed, her face twisted in annoyance, as if I was the one being unreasonable. You're just jealous of your sister, she said, voice dripping with condescension. She's the successful one. You'll never be like her. I leaned back in my chair, smirking. Good, I said casually, enjoying the way her eyes narrowed in confusion. Then she can pay your bills. The silence that followed was almost as satisfying as the way my sister, Allison, stiffened on the couch. Her perfectly manicured nails tapped against her phone screen, pretending she wasn't listening, but I saw the way her shoulders tensed. My mother scoffed. You think you're so clever, don't you? She snapped. Allison is doing important things with her life. She's busy, unlike you. I shrugged, unbothered. This wasn't new. She'd been saying this since we were kids. Allison, the golden child, had always been the successful one. Valedictorian, Ivy League graduate, now climbing the corporate ladder at some prestigious firm. And me? I was the disappointment, the black sheep. No matter what I did, it was never enough. My mother never cared about my career, my stability, or the fact that I'd built a life for myself, just that I wasn't Allison. So I decided to give her exactly what she wanted. Well, since she's the successful one, I said, stretching out the words like they were some brilliant revelation, why don't you call her right now and ask her to take over? Since I'm so useless, I guess you won't need my help anymore. I saw the flicker of hesitation cross my mother's face, but her pride wouldn't let her back down. Fine, she huffed, snatching her phone off the table. She actually cares about this family, unlike you. Allison glanced up from her phone, looking annoyed. Mom, what are you doing? I need help covering the mortgage this month, honey, my mother said sweetly. Your brother has decided he's done helping. I watched the scene unfold like it was a movie I'd already seen a dozen times. My mother, so sure that Allison would swoop in and fix everything, and Allison, so smug, assuming she was untouchable. But I knew what was coming, and I couldn't wait to see their faces when it happened. Allison sighed, tapping her nails against the armrest like she had something more important to do. Mom, I already told you. She started, then caught herself. Her eyes flickered toward me for half a second before she plastered on that fake, confident smile she always used when she wanted to seem in control. I mean, of course I'd love to help, but you know how it is. My expenses are insane right now. She forced a laugh, shaking her head as if the idea of parting with her money was absurd. I just put a down payment on the new condo, and work's been a nightmare. I really can't be taking on more right now. I watched my mother's face shift. First surprise, then disbelief, then the kind of desperation that she usually reserved for guilting me into opening my wallet. Allison, she said, her voice suddenly softer, almost pleading. Sweetheart, I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. The mortgage is coming up, and Mom, I said no. And just like that, the golden child showed her true colors. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on my knees. Wait a minute, I thought Allison was the successful one. I turned to her, feigning confusion. Shouldn't this be easy for you? What happened to all that big corporate money? Allison shot me a glare, but I wasn't done. Or is it possible, I continued, my voice light, casual, that you're not as well off as you've been pretending to be? Her jaw clenched. My mother, still caught between shock and panic, tried again. You must have something saved up. You've always been good with money. Mom, you don't understand. Allison snapped. And for the first time, there was real frustration in her voice. Do you have any idea how much my life costs? The condo, the car payments, the credit cards. Do you think I have extra money just lying around? There it was, the cracks in the perfect image. I sat back smiling to myself because that was the thing about Allison. She was great at pretending, always flaunting the high life online, making it seem like she was untouchable, unstoppable. But I knew better. I knew she was drowning in debt, stretching herself thin just to keep up the illusion of success. And now she couldn't hide it anymore. My mother looked genuinely stunned. But you always said. I said what I needed to say. Allison cut her off, irritation dripping from her voice. She stood up, grabbing her purse. I don't have time for this. I have a meeting. She turned toward the door. But I wasn't done just yet. So just to be clear, I said, raising my voice slightly, you expect me, the failure, to keep paying for everything while the successful one gets to walk away without a care in the world? Allison didn't even turn around. Grow up, Nathan, she muttered before stepping out the door and slamming it behind her. Silence. I turned back to my mother, who looked completely lost. It was the first time in my life I'd ever seen her at a loss for words. Huh, I said, standing up and stretching. Looks like you bet on the wrong horse, Mom. Her head snapped up, eyes blazing with anger. This isn't funny, Nathan. But I just grinned, because for the first time in years, I was finally the one in control. My mother sat there, gripping her phone like she could somehow force Allison to call back. But she wouldn't. We both knew that. She didn't mean it. My mother muttered, more to herself than to me. She's just stressed. She'll help once she calms down. I tilted my head. Sure, maybe. Or maybe she's been using you just like you've been using me. Her eyes snapped to mine, furious. Don't you dare. What? Tell the truth? I shrugged. You made it clear I wasn't the favorite, Mom. That was fine. But you also made it clear I wasn't good enough. And now the good one just left you hanging. She clenched her jaw, her breathing uneven. I could see the gears turning, the slow realization that for once she had no one to bail her out. I let that moment sink in. Then I smiled. Well, good luck with that. And with that, I walked away, leaving her alone with the weight of her choices. I didn't make it 3 steps before before my mother's voice shot through the room. Nathan, wait! I turned slowly, watching as she scrambled to her feet, her desperation now fully on display. You can't just walk away from this. I need your help. There it was, the shift. The same woman who had spent my entire life telling me I wasn't good enough was now begging me to stay. I thought Allison was handling it, I said, folding my arms. Her mouth opened, then closed. She will. She just needs time. I raised an eyebrow. And in the meantime, silence. Her hands twisted together, a nervous tick I'd seen 100 times when she was trying to manipulate me. You've always been responsible, Nathan. You wouldn't just let me lose the house. I let out a low chuckle. You're right. I am responsible. That's why I planned ahead. That's why I made sure I was financially stable while you were too busy worshiping Allison to notice. Her eyes widened slightly. Wait, what do you mean planned ahead? I tilted my head, letting the words sink in. I could see the exact moment she realized what I was saying. You have money. Her voice was barely above a whisper. I didn't answer. I just let the silence speak for itself. And then the panic set in. Nathan, please, you have to help me. I interrupted, pretending to think it over. Because I seem to remember you telling me I'd never be as successful as Allison, that I'd never amount to anything. She flinched. Well, I continued, shrugging. I guess you were wrong about that, huh? She reached for me, but I stepped back. No, Nathan, listen, I didn't mean it. I was just upset. I shook my head. No, Mom, you meant every word. And for the first time in my life, I watched as she realized that I was the one in control now. My mother's breathing turned shallow, her fingers gripping the edge of the table like it was the only thing keeping her upright. I could see it now. The fear in her eyes, the dawning realization that she had nowhere left to turn. Nathan, please, she said, her voice softer now, almost trembling. You're my son. Family helps each other. I let out a slow breath, shaking my head. Funny, I don't remember you saying that when I needed your support. She flinched like I'd slapped her. That was different. She insisted. You were always difficult, stubborn. You never listened to what was best for you. I laughed, cutting her off. You mean I never did what you wanted? Her lips pressed into a thin line. You don't understand. She tried again, switching tactics. This house, my life, everything is falling apart. I need your help. I tilted my head. And what was that same concern when I was struggling? What was my safety net? She had no answer. For the first time in my life, she had no power over me, and I could tell it terrified her. I should go, I said, finally grabbing my jacket. No, wait. She rushed forward, grabbing my arm. I'll make it up to you. I swear. Just help me this one time. I gently pried her fingers off me. Mom, I said, my voice steady. You made your choice a long time ago. And with that, I turned and walked out the door. I didn't look back. I barely made it to my car before my phone started buzzing. I glanced at the screen. Mom, I let it ring. Seconds later, another call, then a text. Mom, Nathan, please, just talk to me. Mom, I didn't mean any of it. You're my son. I love you. I scoffed. Love? Now that she needed me, she suddenly remembered how to love me. The messages kept coming, one after another, but I didn't read them. I started my car, gripping the steering wheel as a strange feeling settled over me. I should have felt guilty. That's what she was hoping for. That's how she always controlled me before, with guilt, with obligation. But I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. For the first time, I wasn't the forgotten child scrambling for scraps of approval. I wasn't the backup plan for when the favorite failed. I was just me, and that was enough. As I pulled onto the road, my phone rang again. This time, it wasn't my mother. It was Allison. I smirked. Let the games begin. I let the phone ring a few times before answering. Nathan. Allison's voice was sharp, clipped. No fake sweetness, no smug superiority, just frustration. What did you say to Mom? I smiled to myself. Nothing she didn't already know. Cut the crap. She snapped. She's freaking out, saying you walked out and left her with nothing. What the hell is going on? I feigned surprise. Wait, you mean she called you for help? I thought you didn't have any extra money lying around? Silence, then a sharp breath. That's not the point, Nathan. You know I can't take this on right now. Right, I'm used. The condo, the car, the maxed out credit cards. That must be tough. Don't act like you're above this. She shot back. You think you're some kind of hero now? Because you walked away? I chuckled. No, Allison. I think I'm just done. You can't just be done with family. You were done with me plenty of times, I reminded her. Remember all those years you let Mom tear me down while you stood there, smiling? Remember how you were the golden child while I was just the disappointment? That's not fair, she muttered. Fair? I scoffed. What's fair is that you finally get to feel what it's like when no one comes to save you. Her voice dropped, low and bitter. So that's what this is. Payback? No, I said simply. It's just reality catching up. Another pause. She's going to lose the house, Nathan, she said, quieter now. I leaned back in my seat. Yeah, she is. And you don't care? I thought about it for a second. No, I said honestly. Allison exhaled sharply. I could practically hear her nails tapping against her phone, that nervous tick she always had when things didn't go her way. You're really going to let this happen? She muttered. Yep, you're a click. I hung up before she could finish. Leaning back, I let out a long breath. For the first time, I wasn't the one scrambling. They were, and it felt good. For the next few days, I ignored every call, every text. At first, my mother stuck to guilt tripping. Nathan, I raised you. How can you do this to me? Then came the attempts at bargaining. I'll change, I swear. We can fix this. And finally, the anger. You're selfish, ungrateful. You'll regret this. But I didn't regret a thing. Allison, on the other hand, went radio silent. No doubt trying to come up with a way to spin this so she wouldn't have to deal with mom's problems either. Then, on the 5th day, my doorbell rang. I knew before I even opened it. My mother stood on my doorstep, looking worse than I'd ever seen her. Her perfect posture was gone, her usually immaculate hair a mess. She had dark circles under her eyes, her lips pressed into a thin, frantic line. You weren't answering my calls, she said. I know, I replied, leaning casually against the doorframe. She hesitated, as if debating whether to throw a tantrum or beg. Her pride and desperation were at war. Nathan, please, I don't know what to do. There it was. The moment she realized that, for the first time, she had no control. That's not my problem anymore, I said simply. You can't just leave me like this. Her voice cracked. I can, and I did. Her expression twisted in frustration. What do you want from me? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry, Nathan. Okay? I'm sorry for everything. I tilted my head. For everything? Her jaw clenched. You know what I mean? No, I don't. Because if you were really sorry, you wouldn't just be saying it because you need something from me. Her breath hitched. For a second, I thought she might actually cry. Nathan, I'll lose the house. Then lose it. She flinched like I had hit her. Where will I go? She whispered. I shrugged. Maybe Allison will take you in. Oh wait, that's right. She won't. That was the final blow. She knew I was right. She had spent her whole life choosing Allison over me, betting everything on the wrong child. And now, at her lowest point, she had no one left. Please, she whispered one last time. I took a deep breath. Then, with a small, satisfied smile, I said the words I had been waiting years to say. You made your choice, Mom. Now you get to live with it. And with that, I closed the door in her face. I expected her to knock again, to yell, to demand I open the door, but she didn't. Through the peephole, I watched her stand there for a few seconds, shoulders shaking, hands trembling at her sides. Then, without another word, she turned and walked away. I didn't feel bad, not even a little. I had spent years bending over backward for a woman who never once showed me real love. Years watching her worship Allison while I was treated like an afterthought, and now, finally, she was facing the consequences of her own choices. And it wasn't my problem. I thought that was the end of it, but I should have known better. The next morning, I woke up to a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost ignored it until something told me to pick up. Nathan. The voice on the other end was tight, controlled, and eerily calm. Allison, this is the last time I'm going to ask, she said, skipping the pleasantries. Help Mom, pay off the bills, fix this mess before it gets worse. I almost laughed. You don't get it, do you? I said. There's nothing left to fix. It's already over. No, it's not, she snapped. She can still keep the house if we act fast. I can pull some strings at the bank, but she needs money. And since you're apparently doing so well, let me stop you right there. I cut in. She's your problem now, Allison, not mine. Silence. Then, for the first time, Allison's voice cracked. I can't take care of her, Nathan. And there it was. The golden child, the successful one, wasn't so perfect after all. She was drowning. She had played the role of the confident, put-together daughter for so long that she had convinced herself she was untouchable. But now, the weight of everything was crushing her. Not my problem, I said again, calmer this time. You don't understand, she snapped. If she loses the house, she'll have nowhere to go. Then maybe she should have been a better mother, I replied coldly. She did her best. I laughed out loud. Her best? I repeated. Her best was treating me like I was worthless. Her best was using me for years and throwing me aside the second Allison did something remotely impressive. You don't get it, Allison's voice rose. You were never supposed to be the one who made it. It was supposed to be me. I was the one with the future, the one who was supposed to take care of her. But I can't. The admission hung heavy between us. She couldn't, because she wasn't nearly as successful as she had let everyone believe. And now, when it mattered most, she had nothing to offer. That sounds like a you problem, I said and hung up. 3 weeks passed. The house went into foreclosure. Mom tried everything, crying to relatives, pleading with friends, even calling my old childhood friends to see if they'd take pity on her. But no one wanted to bail her out, not even Allison. I heard through the grapevine that Mom was forced to move into a tiny apartment in a bad part of town. No fancy house, no admiration from the family. She was alone, and Allison, she was barely holding it together. The debt was suffocating her. Her condo was on the verge of being repossessed, and her perfect life was nothing more than smoke and mirrors. Meanwhile, I was fine. More than fine. I thrived. And for the first time in my life, I felt completely, utterly free. It took a while for the phone calls to stop. At first, Mom tried to keep up appearances, acting like this was just a temporary setback. She told people she was downsizing, that she chose to sell the house because maintaining it was too much work. But the family knew the truth, and for the first time, no one was buying her lies. Allison, she went radio silent. No more smug phone calls, no more attempts to guilt me. She was too busy drowning in her own problems. And me, I was finally free. I didn't just move on. I thrived. I focused on myself, on my own goals, on living the life I had built without their approval or validation. I traveled. I made new friends. I enjoyed every dollar I had earned without worrying about it being drained away by people who never truly cared about me. And the best part, for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I had to prove anything to anyone. No more competing with Allison. No more begging for scraps of affection from a woman who never saw me as good enough. I was done. And as I sat in my new apartment, sipping a drink and enjoying the silence, I realized something. I hadn't lost the family. I had escaped one, and I had won.